Hi, friends. This is Caitlin. I am so glad to be back here with you. We can get that. There we go. Um, I am back for another live with Pink and Maine, and tonight we are going to be doing a really fun spring card. There we go. Sorry if you could hear that echo. A really fun spring card with some of the new products. And as promised, we will be incorporating the new Spring Meadow Embossing Powder that we swatched last week. This is like the coolest mix of blue, green, orange, and yellow. So I'm so excited to use it. I do see lots of people checking in already. I saw Susan and Lori were in even from before I started. Thank you. Melanie's here. Susan from Georgia is also here. Heather's checking in. Maria. Um, oh, Melanie said her daffodils are already starting to bloom. That's so exciting. I think we're still like a solid month away from that here. Mine haven't even started to pop up yet. Barbara's checking in. Mary, Dawn, thank you guys all so much for coming to hang out. This one I think is going to be really sweet and fun. And I am just so in love with the new like scallop borders and all the fun different new border dies. So I want to use the scallop ones again in a little bit of a different way than we used them last week. So hopefully that'll be fun. And we're going to use a stamp set from the new release that we hadn't used yet. We're going to pair it with a sentiment from an old favorite because you guys know I love doing that too, incorporating the old and the new. So let me go ahead and get us situated. So this is the Hoppy Spring, like happy, but they're hoppy because they're buttons. Hoppy Spring stamp set. So we get all of these sweet little bunnies. We get some flowers, carrot, a couple different eggs, and then your Some Bunny special, Happy Birthday, Happy Easter, Happy Spring. And these are cute sentiments, 100%. I love them. But because I want to feature our new embossing powder, I decided to swap in this guy, the Mush Love, and we're going to do the Sending Smiles hand lettered sentiment from this one, just because it's got a little more weight to it and it'll let us show off a little bit more of that embossing powder. So you definitely don't have to mix them. You could also just do the hello, but I think the Sending Smiles is going to be really cute, especially once I share my idea for how we're going to assemble all of this together. So I did pre-stamp my images. These are the 5 images, right? Yeah, 5 images we're working with. So once they're lined up, we'll have this guy on all the way to the left, our little egg, our little bunny with the balloons, and then one of each egg on either side. So they'll just have a nice little lineup across our card. And then I have pebble cardstock and a piece of ice rink cardstock that we're going to use to build our card base. So let me go ahead and see. I think this piece either is A4 or is pretty close to A4. Sorry, A2. Where did I get A4 from? A2. So yeah, 5.5. That was very silly. And 4.25. So that's going to be our base layer. Put this back in. And as usual, all of the products listed in the description of wherever you're watching from, they are linked to the Pink and Main store. So if you fall in love with anything or you want to find out more information on it, you can always click through there. Those links are now affiliate links. So if you do that, it supports me as a creator. No pressure to do that. I just want to be really transparent with you guys, especially because that's a recent change. I don't want you to think I'm keeping anything from you. Let's see. Melissa's here checking in. Julie's here. I am so ready for spring too. It's like not even funny. I'm so done. So done with the cold. And it's still been pretty cold here. And of course, like this weekend, I was like, oh, well, maybe the weekend will be warm and I can get out. No, the weekend's going to be the coldest, and then it's going to get not that it's warm, but it's going to get warmer later in the week. And I'm like, of course. But I did see that like we have a like a 7 o'clock sunset or something is only like a couple weeks away. That sounds lovely. I just hate, I get out of work pretty early, and there's still been days over the winter where when I got out of work, there was no sun. I hate it. All right, so our Pebble cardstock is on our side folding card base. I'm pretty sure we're working horizontally because I think that will fit all of our little critters today. That was the vision. Yeah. So what I want to do is make a scalloped band that's going to hold our sentiment instead of die cutting our sentiment. Hey, Donna. Donna's checking in from California. I bet it's nice there. I bet it is. I bet Donna's got nice weather. So we're going to take the scallop, fine scallop border dies, I believe. Yep. And we're going to take the smaller, like the medium stitched one. Well, I guess the smallest of the ones that actually have the stitching. Okay, and we're going to run this through our die cutting machine right on the top, right along that top edge. I'm going to make sure my washi is stuck to the outside part that I'm not going to keep. And that way, if it sticks or leaves a mark or anything, it's on the part we don't want. And I am also going to make a little printer paper sandwich. If your die plates have seen, cutting plates have seen better days, this is a nice way to kind of protect your paper if you're going to have to do more than one pass, which we are, because we're going to be making a band for all the way across our card. So we're going to do a top and a bottom scallop. That's very nice. So that's going to be our top edge, and you can see that really cute stitched section. Okay. And then for the bottom, I want to make sure that our sentiment has space. Sorry, I guess I should say that we have space for our sentiment. Is that looking about right? I think so. See if I can get that straight. Like how crooked did I cut that top line? A little crooked. So then I can use this line here, right? If the top line, if I have my scallops lined up against that line across, then I know that these ones are going to be straight. And then this can kind of just get centered in between. And we can smush it down. See, it's just a little bit thicker than I was hoping though. We'll just shift it down a box. Oh, Donna said, not that nice. Oh my goodness. Not even that nice in California. I guess it is still February. So I guess that's pretty fair, right? Okay, that looks better. Just trying to get those scallops kind of parallel those top ones. Gonna go back in our sandwich and back through the die cutting machine. I have my Sizzix Big Shot over here on the floor. right next to my desk. I don't have a ton of tabletop space. And pulling it up and down when we've tried in the past is just a pain. All right, we still have a good little scrap of ice rink we can save for another project. And now we have this really cute little frilly scalloped band. Here we go. That we can pop right across our card like that. And my idea is to have the sentiment on here and kind of tuck the little bunnies behind. So I don't want it dead center. I want it just a little lower so that we have room for our bunnies. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to heat emboss this now, but I'll hold off on the actual assembly until our bunnies are colored and die cut so we know how far from the top, like how much room they need. Hey, Connie. And Dean's here. Lovely. Okay, so we have our heat embossing supplies. My sweet angel baby. We talked about this last time. Got ink all over my embossing ink pad. But for this kind of ink, it should not matter. We should be okay. And I'm going to situate this with the scallops going flat across the bottom. And this will kind of help me gauge halfway. So we're looking for about 2 3/4, which is right there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. No one's going to take out a measuring tape. Sending smiles. And I like the sending smiles and incorporating the bunny with the balloons, because then this could be a spring birthday card. It could be like a celebration of something kind of card. It could be still Easter if you wanted it to be. I just think it opens up a lot more possibilities to us versus just putting a happy Easter. And because a lot of these I'm creating for general stash, like my general card stash, and not necessarily for a specific person, I like having more open-ended cards that give me just a little bit more options. So I anti-static powder brushed my cardstock. We're getting a really nice, good impression. And that is the nice thing about having a slightly dirty ink pad, is because I can kind of see that stamping a little more clearly. We need our printer paper and our Spring Meadow Embossing Powder. Hey, Michelle. Thanks for checking in from Puerto Rico. All right, let's see if I can get you guys, in case you didn't see it last week. This is the Spring Meadow. So you can see it's like blue, green, orange, and yellow. So fun. It really does look like a little spring meadow, like little spring flowers and leaves and this beautiful turquoisey springy sky. All right, move off there. You put away. Let's get this gun going. Okay, so I'm gonna go quiet for a minute so we can turn on the heat gun without blasting your ears. That is just like such a fun effect. And it is a little softer, right? It's not like the highest contrast ever, but when you see, right, and from down here, it looks kind of like seafoam, right? But when you see it there, then you can really see like the little pops of red, orange, yellow, everything kind of mixed together. Although now holding it that close, it looks like the top of that G. Here, I'll show you. Can you see how the G, that top texture is just not quite smooth. So let's knock that one little corner again. Hey, Judith. Yep, that's lovely now. So yeah, we just get that kind of beautiful speckled finish. Okay. And my paper did warp a little, but you know, we're probably going to just pop this up with foam anyway, which will sort it all out. I just can't get over that. All right, so that's what that's going to look like. So let's work on making our sweet little bunnies. And those softer colors are definitely going to inspire my coloring choices. And we're going to go a lot more muted and like a little more on the pastel side than I usually go, because I want kind of a softer vintage spring vibe for this. Susan, exactly. It definitely gives like Monet, pointillism, watercolor. Like, I don't know. It's just that layering of paint, something in that. Was that impressionist? It's been a long time since I studied that stuff in school, man, but it's beautiful. So. Oh no, Deborah, it's cold and rainy in Tennessee. It was raining here this afternoon too. Mary Jo, I also love the multicolor speckles. I just think it's turned out so pretty. All right, so I'm gonna grab, I want my bunnies to be a little warm, but I don't want them to be dark. So I'm gonna grab my 53, 51, and 50, but I'm also gonna bring in a 35 because sometimes 55 and 53 don't play along well with each other for me. So we're going to bring in the 35 for a little bit of that shadow. And I'm going to start, we're going to have a kind of centralized, because I know what order they're going in, kind of a center light source. So this guy, because he's going to go all the way to the left, he's going to get his darker shadows to the left. Oh, good. Dawn said, I'm on point. Perfect. She would know. She is an artiste. She took all that stuff in school very much on purpose. Okay. So just kind of adding some shading to the kind of outer part of the ear, that where it would kind of curve. The left side of the face is heavier than the right side. And this is just going to kind of give more of that vignette feel, where everything's kind of darker on the edges and gets lighter as we go in. Oh, and he needs a little spot over his nose. So then we'll jump to 53. And I'm really going to overlap these shades a good bit because I want to really mute down that 35. Because I'm going for that softer. Soft and pastel is not my strong suit. But I've just been in a pastel or like less saturated mood lately. I colored something yesterday that's like the first time I've used some of these colors together ever. I was like, oh, that's different for me. For this one, I think the 51 is enough. These aren't huge images, so I don't think we're going to need the 50. I am going to shade in the inside of the ear, but we will also come back with a pink. Just think that's so sweet. And to change it up a little, I'm going to go R12. Normally I go R20, but the R12 is just like a little bit peachy. It just has that softer spring feeling. And some little blush. And then we can go in with R00 to smooth that out a little bit. Go. Bunny number 1. You know what? I don't think we're really going to see them much, but let's go in with little W1 just on that little tail, just so there's something in there, right? It's like not even barely noticeable, but it'll just break up that white so it doesn't look like it was forgotten. All right, let's color up this little guy. So this one is going to be in the center. So we're going to equally shade one side to the other. Okay. So I'm going to use thinner lines with my 35 and make it the same all the way around. He's getting the spotlight right in the dead center. And this part of the ear that's flopped over would be the back of the ear. So that's not going to get that pink. It's going to be all tan. And I'm going to add the shadow to the back part. But this ear is going to have that pink on the bottom section. So pull up the 53 again. Still overlapping because I want a nice, oh, you know what I forgot is that over the nose. I just think it makes their little expressions stand out a little more. That. Get you in as close as I can. Trying to remember to color, holding my paper up and down instead of turning it to the side. The center of that face, nice and blended. Tiny little circles, not pressing hard, but kind of scrubbing motions. And then we'll bring in that R12 just on this side. I guess we can do like right here at the bottom. And then he gets the sweetest little look. I love that their eyes are like closed because they're smiling so hard. It's just so cute. Okay. We'll come back to his egg in a minute when we tackle the other ones. So let's get all our bunnies done first. So last bunny, and this one is getting shadow on the right hand side. And I'm very curious if when you guys are coloring, you're picking a light source, or do you always pick the same kind of directional light source? Or are we just not worried and we're just adding in our shading wherever we think looks nice? And then this bunny, it looks like her ears are kind of like pushed out. So it seems like she doesn't really have any pink on her ears. Thanks, Barbara. I think they're just so stinking sweet. Here, let's put those on the side so you can see them. Kind of compare everything. So I think I'm a little jittery. I'm like shaking my leg and I feel like it's shaking the table. Really letting that right-hand side be nice and dark. Well, considering all the other colors. Barbara said she's trying to learn, or she's trying to pick a light source. Melissa said she's winging it. Also fine. That's the cool thing. There isn't a right or a wrong way. It's just a different approach. And I don't think one is better than the other. But if you're like feeling lost in how to color something, I find that picking a light source can help kind of get me started. But if I'm in the groove and something just feels natural to color something a certain way, I don't let a light source like slow me down, if that makes sense. Very cute. And then these, this one needs its ears colored. And these are also flopped over. So back side of those, kind of this under section. That R12 can go kind of in here. 53. Barbara, that definitely makes sense. Having good dimension, the key to that is making sure you have enough contrast between your colors. If your colors are too similar, it's hard to get that good true dimensional look. So I don't usually color with my end Copic numbers being like a 1, 2, 3. I usually try to do like a 5, 3, 1. So like every other, or like a 2, 4, 6. And I find that when you're doing smaller images, when you're coloring smaller and you're trying to make a lot of impact on a smaller scale, like doing every other color works out a lot easier. And nobody else has a tail, so we don't need any more W1. And Connie, yep, while you're getting comfortable with coloring, nothing wrong with not even worrying about a color source. That can be like a bonus down the road. All right, so with these kind of pastel soft vibes in mind, I am thinking like a peachy orange, a softer yellow, and maybe like a teal. Pull out my Sandy Alnack hex chart. We talked a lot about this the other day as well. And I want to look to see, right, like these are a little more on that peachy side. I don't want anything kind of like super vibrant, super punchy. So I'm thinking like a YR65 and do we even have YR82? Oh, yeah, interesting. I don't think I've ever used that. It's not dry, so that's good. And honestly, for these eggs, that's probably enough. Because I just don't want it to go dark. Yeah, let's try it with just 2 color blends. For yellow, I'm thinking like 38 and 32. So kind of in these, a little bit of a softer yellow. And then the teal is a little tricky because I don't want like a really loud teal, like a really green, because this doesn't read super like punchy, I don't know, like turquoise. It's like that softer. So I'm seeing like 57 looks a lot less saturated. So if we use 57 for our dark, oh, and maybe 53. Another one that I don't think I've ever used. It's completely clean, so definitely doesn't get a lot of love. So 53 and 57. Very different color combinations for me. How fun. I think changing it up is really great sometimes. Not all the time. It's nice to have your ones that you can count on, your combos that you love and you know that you're going to love when you use them. But it is also fun to make sure you're using other markers. Okay, so I'm thinking for this one, you know what else we're going to bring in is like a neutral white. Maybe we'll bring in that W1 and a W00, and that'll be our fourth color combo. So I'm going to leave the scallops white, and the egg part of this one's going to be that teal. So I want to put the shadows on the outside of the egg and then right under the little bunny's head. And eggs, I want these to kind of be not like shiny plastic eggs. So I'm not going to leave that curved highlight that we usually leave. I'm going to go right up to those artist drawn lines on the edge. We'll see. Hopefully this gets me enough variation. Yeah, I think that's nice. So I'm shaking my leg again. Cute, cute. Right, just a little bit soft, but still is going to give some kind of definition. I agree, Pat. I think they're stinking adorable. All right, so then we're going to go in with W1 and just add, I had like a little marker slip right there, so we can just kind of knock any of that kind of back out. And I don't even know that we need it, but I'll just run over the edges of that with a W00 just to make sure that it blends to nothing softly. And then what I was thinking is we could do a white center and then get the yellow petals for our flower with the yellows that we pulled. And for these, because they're smaller and I only have the two colors, I'm going to just shade one side of each petal, kind of in that loose U shape. So that was our Y38, and we'll take our Y32 and fill that in. Right, let's see how. I think they belong on the same card. I like it. That teal isn't an exact match, but it's pretty close. It's pretty cute. All right, then for these guys, I want to bring in some of those oranges. So let's do her little bow orange. And let's shade this balloon. So I'm going to add a lot of shadow. We decided, oh, the light's backwards. There you go. Again, who's going to call me out? In theory, it should have been the other way. I like to, when I shade a balloon, whatever side I lay that darker shadow on, I like to also then add just like a little shadow to the other side so that when I add my white gel pen highlight, it stands out. It'll stand out against that darker color. Definitely not necessary. Probably technically not correct, but I really like how it looks when I do that. So this guy's going to go right next to this one. And so I don't think I want the teal and the teal right next to each other. So we'll go yellow for this one. And even though it's opposite of the bunny, I'm at least going to color these guys the same with the shadow on the same side, which again is not really correct because this balloon is on top of the other balloon, but I think it will look better when they're next to each other if their shadows are matching up. Okay. And you can see like as these dry, they're going to dry back a lot. So that's like a freshly full markered, and you can see how much lighter the flower looks as that alcohol dries out of that paper. It's all going to lighten up just a little bit. Okay, so this one's going to go on this side. Actually, no. Because the balloon and everything is over here, we'll put the more simple egg over here. And because this bunny's super plain, we'll put the more decorated egg over here. And so I want a little more orange because this one doesn't have color and this already has the teal and the yellow. So we'll pop in some of that orange on this egg. I think I'm going to leave this scallop white again. Yes. W. We'll just do, I don't even need that other one right now. And then this one should be teal because it'll be right on this side with the orange and the yellow between. And we'll do the shading on the opposite for this one. And we'll go in with a little bit of white gel pen once these dry down a little when we die cut them. And we can add in some shine and some of the like stripes back to it and all of that. Yellows. Oranges. All right, let's get this and my phone filter. Okay, so we have this one. Bunny. Baby bunny. Bunny egg. Metal dies lined up and take down with some washi. You know, we're going to get a nice clean cut with these. Yeah, Barbara, sometimes it feels like we are a little quiet. Sometimes it feels like a party. I'm sure, I don't know about everybody else, but it's been a week over here. So if we need kind of a recoup, a little recuperating tonight, that's okay. That one egg with the ears, that die did not want to fit. Instead of pushing it and possibly messing something up. That was fun. Me punching my light and darning it off on accident. Trying to keep you guys on your toes. Okay, bunny, bunny. Right, kind of just like that. And then egg. We have one more. You guys know I have to put my dies immediately onto my backing card, or else I will lose them right away. And the pink and main cards come with that double stick tape. So I put the wrong one away so that we don't have to do anything extra to keep them started. You don't need any magnetic sheets or anything like that over here, unless you want to. All right. So that's kind of what our little Easter family is looking like. I think I'm going to grab, for these, I want to do the stripes in the balloon, and this is pretty thin. So I'm going to grab my 05 gel pen, which is like the thinnest. Is not flowing. And I'm just trying to brighten up those lines a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to the 08, which is just a little bit bigger. And with that one, we can add our highlight. It's going to go across that balloon. We can add some highlight to a little egg. And we can also kind of add in some texture with those lines. It's kind of that up. Right, so just kind of changing it up a little bit. Yep, that works for me. Don't need a lot. All right. I do have more foam tape coming. It should be here tomorrow. So we will probably use the last of our foam tape tonight. That is okay, because we'll be restocking immediately. And like I said before, that foam tape is going to kind of help control any warping that happened from our heat embossing. Let's make sure I have the fold side up. And this is the tallest bunny, right, with her balloon. So we'll kind of use her as a gauge. And I don't mind if she's like a little covered. You can always trim that down, her down a little bit. That looks pretty good to me. Okay. So this one's going to go in the center. I'm going to glue these guys down flat and kind of tuck them right under. Oh, that scallop band. And I'm going to try to work quick in case any of these are going to end up being like layered a little bit. I'm going to do a little surgery. I'm just going to chop up her feet. And she can be like popping up out of her little bunny hole. That's cool. And her ear's not down all the way, which is great because now I can add that egg and kind of tuck it behind her ear. And I'm going to put it just a little bit diagonal to help kind of pull your eye there. And we'll do the opposite with the other egg on the other side. Let's see. And he doesn't need to be trimmed because that'll help kind of balance out some of this height difference. And this middle bunny's ear isn't glued down yet, so the same thing, we can kind of tuck him right behind. And I'm trying to keep it generally the same distance on either side, those two bunnies. And then this last egg. Yeah. Yep. I think I really like that. And you could, of course, add, we have all of these little flowers. Right, Barbara, not her feet. This stamp set comes with these little flowers and like the little carrot. So you could definitely add some more of those to kind of fill in those gaps if you wanted to. But I just think this looks so sweet. And the eggs definitely do make it lean a little more Easter, but I still think that with the Sending Smiles, it could be for spring in general. Yeah, I just think it's nice to change things up and go a little softer, a little more simple with the kind of our layout. I love this, the double scallop, that kind of really feminine feeling band. I'm so glad that you guys like it. Very cool. All right. Well, that is everything for tonight. I will be back next week on Wednesday and Thursday. Right. Yeah, Melissa said sequins. You could definitely do sequins or the gems kind of tucked and peeking underneath as well. You guys know I love a good shimmer. I am trying to be fine with this being, like I said, a little more, not that this is clean and simple, but for me, it's clean and simple. So yeah, next week I will be back on Wednesday and Thursday instead of Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, I'll give you guys another close-up of that embossing powder while I talk. So Wednesday, Thursday next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I don't have anything pre-planned. So as usual, if you have any requests, you can leave them in the comments and in the replay comments. But I am really excited to see what fun we get into. It'll be the last week of February. And then, you know, before we know it, we'll be making summer cards. So thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. There we go. I just appreciate getting to hang out with you. Thank you for all the comments and questions, as always. I will see you back here on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern next week. Have a good and safe weekend. And until then, guys, happy crafting. Have a good night.